Dynamo Basketball Club qualified for the BAL. Let's just talk about this. I mean, Dynamo, they've just been through the ringer. They've played a total of 8 games. They started their journey way early than the other teams. I know there's some other teams in the Elite 16 that were just plugged in the Elite 16 because of a direct ticket, but this is a team that started from, I can say, the bottom, and this is their first time in the BAL, and they just started from the bottom and now they are there. You can see on the video they're just celebrating that. They had a record of 4 wins and 4 losses, and their last and final game that was going to decide the last spot for the in the BAL. They play against Cospian, and this game went down to the wire, and they won this game by 1 point. You can say half a basket. I just say 1 point, and their journey has been sensational. I know. I've talked about Dynamo when I was talking about KPA. KPA was the team hailing from Kenya, and I was supporting them. And Dynamo just made quick work of them in the first game. And that game ended 75-63. I felt so sad at that time for my team not being able to beat Dynamo, but it is what it is. And they went against Pazi, and Dynamo fell against Pazi. They lost that game 71-62. Then that game against Elan Coton, they beat them 88-59, which was a convincing win. It was not as convincing as KPA, but it was just all the same convincing because Elan Coton at the time, they went 0-for-3 at the time. Then Dynamo matched up against Cape Town Tigers. That game they lost 76-61. Then Dynamo lost again against the NBA Academy team, which I must say I felt some type of way when they lost this game, but on the onset I just didn't want to mention a lot at that time because I feel like the Dynamo team, this is a game that they should have won. They should have at least won that game against a cast of 17-year-olds. Then that game against Pazi, the team, the Dynamo Basketball Club team rallied and they won that game. It was clutch. That game ended 88-85, and they were able to avenge the loss that they suffered against Pazi. And of course they learned from the mistakes that had happened last time, and they were able to take them out. Then we had that game against the City Oilers team, the team that made the finals, and this was the game that was deciding who's gonna make the finals. But Dynamo got beat at that, and Dynamo had to settle for third place. And on that third place game, I was just eager to see, because both teams, Cospian and Dynamo, just looked like they had similar weight on there. It looked like teams that they just looked like a team that can be able to beat them. But both teams they were holding serve pretty well, and Dynamo did not even lift a finger, and they made sure to make quick work of them. But as you can see, Otobo, this guy had the highest efficiency per game with 19.4 efficiency. He averaged 14 points and 13.1 rebounds. This guy was just a sensation. We've got K Revelation. He was just falling behind with a 14.3 efficiency per game, averaged 13 points per game. Christopher Obekpa, 10.2 rebounds. I mean, he was just great in there. They've got H. Ali. He had 5.3 assists per game. So those are a couple of main contributors on the score. And also K Revolution, not only he averaged 13 points and 9.3 boards per game. So you could see Dynamo just had the squad in there. Chris Obekpa, he played for the ABC Fighters last season, and right now he was actually quite instrumental in the Dynamo team going in there and just making some serious noise in there. And that last game against Cospian was just down to the wire. I remember I watched it, and it was just a nail biter down to the last possession, and you can see both teams were just fighting in there. There was no point in time where you might have felt like both teams one team was gonna drop points in there, but they just held serve pretty well, and it was just down to the last possession, because at some point I felt like this game would have gone overtime if the scoring rate just kept on the same way. I felt like there was a high likelihood that the game will have gone to overtime, but Dynamo were that team, and they just made sure to just do their thing in there. They shot I mean, 45% from 2-point field goals, 27% from deep, not the greatest. And they suffered, especially shooting the ball from the line. And they had the biggest lead was 17, the biggest scoring run was 10, and they led the game for 28 total minutes. So when the game started, I had that, I just looked at the game, and I just saw a situation where Dynamo just started off so hot, and the time the lead just changed at the end of the third. I just knew it was just a matter of time where this game was just going to be clutch, and an overtime might have been forced at the time. So Dynamo started off hot, but somewhat lost the lead a bit. But in the game was just decided in the last possession. So the shooting from the free throw shooting that Dynamo exhibited was the difference because they shot 73%. They led in both defensive and offensive rebounds. They have 52 total rebounds. The size that they had in there was just extraordinary, and I don't think Cospian just had the upper hand on there. So they lost their grip on their points in the paint. They dominated, and those 2-point field goals proved very crucial. And Dynamo just kept on, piling on, especially from points from the bench. Second chance points, they were tied at 17 apiece. And fast break points, they did that with 21 fast break points. And even looking at the turnover bug, I know they turned over the ball 16 times, but you can see the other aspects of the game were just clicking well, and it was just a matter of just winning that ball game. Because looking at the trajectory of the game, you might have thought that Cospien were just going to swoop in last minute and just win it, but you could see how clutch the game got, and Dynamo just won that last ticket. And right now, I've talked about the Cape Town Tigers, I've talked about the City Oilers, but Dynamo is just that Cinderella story where they started off from the beginning. They started off there was so much uncertainty. I felt like there was so much uncertainty. There's not much expectation for that squad, but with the retooling that they had, and knowing for a fact that Pazzi were just on top, and knowing that they finished number 2, a lot of eyes were just locked in on Pazzi just clinching that ticket to the BAL. But sometime I just felt like Dynamo just got overlooked, and they just silenced the noise and they just continue winning. Even despite their record of 4 wins and 4 losses, they won in the games that mattered. The first thing was just to make sure to defend. They make sure to grab at least 2 wins in the first 3 games that they played to make sure they notched up spot in the Elite 16. And the Elite 16, make sure to make every game close and win every single game, and they did that. And in the knockout stages, they made sure to make themselves at the top spot and just be a top 3, top 4 team. And when the opportunity arose and they knew for a fact that they had a shot at qualifying for the BAL, they took it, and they made sure to make some significant work on Cospien. Despite the game being this close, they were able to take them apart, and they were able to go ahead and just win it. So congrats to Dynamo. I just felt like they were I feel like they were the overlooked team. No one was really looking at Dynamo like that, but you can see right now they're the victors. They are on there. You can see the excitement from the video. It was a very emotional scene, and Dynamo are just that team that I feel like this exposure in the BAL will just bring wonders to that squad. And even them winning their local domestic league and just getting a spot in the BAL, that's all that mattered at the time. Hopefully they can be able to go further and at least contend with the other big teams in there, and be able to do some significant damage to the other teams. But all in all, it was a great performance. Cospien just had the short end of the stick. They lost by half a basket, but hey, it is what it is. It's basketball. Winning's winning. So yeah, man, I mean, congrats to Dynamo Basketball Club. They just did that thing, and they just got that spot in the BAL. So if you guys like the video, make sure you leave your feedback down in the comments on what you think about Dynamo, and also what you think about the video. Please be sure let me know. Holla at your boy, man. I'm out. Peace.